Hello, everybody, and welcome back to an episode of Shou Talks. Like I said, we're doing things different this season. I'm bringing you a whole bunch of guests. We're having a whole bunch of different perspectives. I have with me today my sister from another mister, who is also a new mom. My baby boy is 1, and little lady is 2 months.
Yes, as of tomorrow.
Oh, 2 months. So we are actually going to be talking about why y'all ain't tell us, motherhood edition, our expectations versus reality. And Chi, I forgot to say her name, Chi. Um, we can agree in saying our expectations versus reality, 180.
Mm-hmm.
uh,
360.
360. And it's funny because you have all this research on pregnancy. You have all this research on what to do before pregnancy. You have all the research on maybe like the first week, maybe the first month, but don't nobody tell you nothing afterwards,
Yep.
right? Um, I'll talk about my first night home, and then you can tell me about your first night. I remember coming home with I don't mind saying Ramses, with Ramses, and we're like, all right, cool, because everybody's telling you the first night is the worst night. Just prepare yourself for it. And we're like, cool, we got this. We know we're not gonna sleep. All right, we got everything set up, bottles, everything good to go. That little boy cried, cried. So I was terrified. And I think what drove me crazy was it's not the first night you've been born. Like we
Right.
done been with you for 4 days. You was in the hospital fine. You didn't cry like this at the hospital. We get home and it's like, oh, now you want to act up.
Yep.
Now you want to act like you don't want to be here. I kid you not, I remember vividly laying on the bed, just like, oh my God. And Renard is like holding Ramses, just rocking him back and forth. And he looks at me, he goes, yo, so we can't return him? We can't bring him back? And I'm like, listen, I'm with it if you with it, like, because I don't this crying situation.
Yeah.
And I remember, I think it was like the first month appointment, him asking the doctor, like, what's up? Like during the day, sleep, no problem. He's good. By the time the sun sets, oh, like who is this child? And the
Mm-hmm.
doctor had to actually tell us, to them, it's the opposite. So our
Yep.
days are their nights. So at night, they're like, "What's up? Party time? Oh, you want to sleep? Nah, B, we're not about to sleep right now. Like it's time to get it in. It's time to eat. I want to dance. I want to talk." So how was your first night home?
Honestly, our first night wasn't that bad. She was good in the hospital. I know, right? So she was good in the hospital. And then we get home and I'm the one that's terrified.
Yeah.
She makes a noise and I'm jumping up. I'm exhausted still. My body's not acting right, but I'm like, okay, let's try to like get into a routine. Routine, my behind. She was not having no routine. She woke up probably every 2 hours, and I was doing the whole breastfeeding thing. That's a whole nother issue. That wasn't going that well. So we have been supplementing with formula because breast milk hadn't really come in the hospital.
Yeah.
So she would wake up, she would eat, she would fuss a little bit, but she wouldn't cry, which was cool.
Yeah.
But then when we put her down, I didn't want to go to sleep because I didn't know if she was breathing. Is she okay? She didn't make noise. How come she hasn't woken up? She didn't. And like, it was ridiculous. And Corey was like, I need you to relax. Like, I need you to calm down. Because
Yo,
he has kids already previous to me.
he's been there.
So he's been there. He's done
Yeah.
this. And I'm like, no, you're not doing it right. No, you have to do this. No, swaddle her this way. No, no, no. And he was like, I need you to relax.
But it's
So
not
yeah,
our fault.
it's not.
And I feel like that's a common argument with moms and dads. And not to defeat or, not say demoralize, but like to belittle their role.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to tell you how this needs to get done
Yep.
because you have it in your mind. I carry them. I
Exactly.
know they're
Exactly.
mine. And then you got the dads looking like, so where am I supposed to go? You go where I tell you to go. You move
Yeah.
how I tell you to move.
Follow
And
the lead.
follow the lead. But that's not always the right lead.
No,
But we don't care because
no.
this is my child. I know the
Yep.
child. And that it did result in a lot of like arguments and
Yeah,
tug of wars.
we've had a couple of those.
Yeah.
After, I'd say, a few days after I got sick. Preeclampsia is a real thing
Yep.
for young Black mothers, young and old. It doesn't even matter.
Hmm.
Preeclampsia is real.
Yep.
It happens. It happens to a lot of us, and it unfortunately happened to me. And it puts you back in the hospital, so you feel robbed of your time with your baby at home.
Yeah.
So during that time, I had to go back into the hospital. It was Corey, hands on deck.
Yeah.
And so he figured out what worked for them while they were home, because we didn't want her sleeping in the hospital, germs and all that. So he would come during the day to visit and then take her home at night.
Yeah.
So coming back home from the hospital, he was doing things
He
his
had it.
way because he
Yeah.
had been, and I'm like, no, I don't want to do it that way. No, that's not going to work for me. And he's like, oh no, I got it. So that's when she had kind of come into her crying.
Yeah.
So I got home and she would cry. And then I'd be like, oh my God, what's wrong? Because I wasn't able to form that bond because I had to go back to the hospital.
Yeah.
And so he immediately would be like, oh, don't worry, I'll take care of it. Oh, don't worry, I'll get her. And it was like, whoa, I need you to slow down, back up a little bit.
Yeah.
I need to figure out how to soothe her. I know you've got this and you've been doing it, but I'm mom and I already feel robbed of my time. So that was a huge mental struggle for me. Huge. Because I felt like my baby didn't know me. She didn't understand me. And I clearly didn't understand her. And so it was a crying fit. And of course, Corey's like, okay, I've got these two emotional girls in the house. Like,
oh, poor Corey.
So yeah, that was probably the biggest struggle I've had to go through.
And how did you? Well, yeah, I'm assuming you're past it now. If you're not, it's. I mean, listen, postpartum is a bitch.
I'm not through that phase of randomly crying or feeling overwhelmed or being sad for no apparent reason.
Mm-hmm.
It's so real, and I actually thought that I wasn't going to go through it because I've been around kids, I've raised kids,
I'm in tune with myself.
Exactly.
I can keep myself busy and not have to deal with
Listen,
postpartum.
I was an athlete going through all that. Like, what? Having a baby was nothing. Yeah, right. It was the biggest joke on myself because
I have it planned out. I'm gonna do this.
Oh my goodness. I was like, I'm gonna do this and that. I bought everything. I have everything set up the way I want. And it's like life doesn't work that way.
Nope.
So that was a shock for me.
Yeah.
Breastfeeding I thought was gonna be simple.
Girl.
That's probably what put me into postpartum depression. Between the preeclampsia and the breastfeeding journey, it's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And I thought running the 400 was hard. Like, they didn't tell me breastfeeding was going to be this bad.
Nope.
You scroll through social media and they're like, oh, breastfeed your baby. It's so fun.
It's pressure. It is pressure.
What?
Especially with the older generation. You have the older generation that looks at you like, I remember at one point, my aunt looked at me and said, you should be breastfeeding him. That's what, and I'm just like, pump your brakes. Ain't no milk. You don't want it. You don't want it.
Yep.
And it's the doctors that actually had to tell you, like, hey, it's fine. Whatever they're getting in the breast milk, they'll get it in formula. We understand it's not for everybody. But you still have just, I guess, the breast milk version of Bible thumpers who will come at you and your motherhood and make you feel like less of a mom for not breastfeed. I got to get one of them on a podcast.
Listen, they would be like, oh, well, I breastfed so-and-so for a year. Well, good for you.
Good.
Were your nipples falling off? Were they cracked? Did you get mastitis within the first week? I mean, I've been through all of that within the first 2 weeks of her life. And it was like, whoa, wait a second. Do I really want to go through this? It was a struggle trying to get her to latch and making sure she fed properly, but she couldn't because I was so swollen. The pain. I've never felt pain like that in my life. So I went from, I'm going to breastfeed to, oh my God, I don't think I can do this, to, okay, let me try to pump. So now I am an exclusive pumper. And it's probably worse than breastfeeding because you are on a schedule.
Yes,
When you don't meet that schedule, you
child.
get engorged, you get the pain. So I'm taking sunflower lecithin to make sure I'm, flowing properly. And I have to stick to the schedule because if I don't, the pain just comes back. So it's like, just a lose-lose battle. And you have to plan your day around pumping. You
Yes.
can't say, oh yeah, I'm gonna meet up with so-and-so. No, no, no. You gotta
Mhm.
count out the hours in between pumping, make sure you're at a place where you can pump. I went from being an exclusive pumper with a plugged-in pump to
Mhm.
having to spend all that money getting
One
a
when you could walk
wireless
around with.
one. Yeah,
Mhm.
because you got stuff to do. Life
Sometimes you
doesn't
gotta pump in the
stop.
car. I've
And
done
then pumping in the car, and people are looking at you crazy, and you're holding your boob and you're driving with one hand, and you got a baby crying in the back, and this is life now.
it.
This is life now.
And the hardest part is, and I know you're very similar to me in this, we are planners.
Oh
I
yeah.
did not plan for this.
Oh my
Like,
God.
I just like you, I had it all planned out. I was going to go natural. I was going to give something natural. Do you remember? I was,
Yes, I do.
I'm not going for epidural because I've heard so many stories, and I'm not going. The minute
Hmm.
labor hit,
Hmm.
I was like, "Excuse
Hmm.
me, wait, I need hello, hey, nah, B, I'm gonna need y'all to
Bring
come
it
give this
now.
to me. Bring it." They're like, "Oh, the anesthesia. I don't give a. I don't care if they're backed up. I need you to bring this to me now." And they're like, "Oh, we'll give you something that'll, take the edge. Give it to me. Give everything. Give
Yes.
all."
Yeah.
And I want to say maybe like 30 hours into labor, my labor stalled,
Mm.
and Ramsey's head was stuck. So then they're like, "Oh," and I was excited to push. I don't know why, but I was excited. Don't know why. I was excited to push. I was like, "Oh, I can't wait, and I'm gonna like push him out." And they were like, "So your baby's been stuck. We're gonna do a C-section," and I'm just like, "You know what? A C-section?" And Bernard's sitting next to me like, "Nope, nope," and I'm just like, "Okay, all
A
right,
whole
cool."
different game plan, something you didn't plan for.
Didn't plan for. Didn't plan,
Yeah.
and the recovery's longer.
Yep.
But I will say this: I low key appreciate the C-section. My recovery wasn't that bad, but to know that I didn't have to have any tearing, wasn't
Mm.
no ring of fire that I heard
Mm.
of,
Mm-hmm.
didn't have. But you remember, I bought all this stuff to recover from what is it called, vasective vaginal birth.
Vaginal. Yeah. Yeah.
Had all this stuff. I want to say pretty much everything I bought, I ended up just giving away
Yeah.
for the whole delivery. And even now, I bought all these bottles. I literally just packed up all of Ramsey's bottles. And I'm just like, why I keep buying all these bottles? You really, to be honest, you really need like maybe a good 4 bottles.
Yep. I
That's
did
it.
my extra research on that. I bought 3 different bottles, one each, to make sure I knew which one she liked before I went ham buying bottles. Because who has time to be, not me. No,
Mm.
no.
I went
My
and bought the
labor
disposable
stalled.
ones. Yes. Go
My
ahead.
labor stalled. Let's see. Okay, so I was not dilating at all. Her due
Oh,
date came and went. Homegirl said she wasn't coming out. So
she's not
we're
ready.
at, yeah, 41 weeks. Here we are. She's still not coming out. I
Oh,
had to get what's called cervical ripening. They give
mm,
you pills to help you dilate, basically.
yeah.
All the old wives' tales. Oh, have sex. Oh,
Mm,
do this,
drink
do
this.
that.
Yep.
Tried this. I did acupuncture. I did chiropractor services. I did all the things, yoga, hot this, massage that, all the things, and nothing
She wasn't
happened.
ready. She
Okay.
wasn't ready.
Cervical ripening happened. Then I started dilating. I was like, oh, this is great. And then I got, a few of the cramps and the contractions. I was like, maybe I can go natural. I got this. I'm breathing through them. Me, the planner, I made Corey get a hotel room close to the hospital because who's driving from Haverhill to Boston to no. So we was in the hotel room. I'm cramping it out. I'm like, yeah, yeah, yeah. They start coming every 3 minutes. And I'm like, oh my God, this is happening now. She's coming really fast. This is great. We leave, go to the hospital, three
Go ahead.
centimeters.
Girl.
When
That
I say I immediately just
anger.
started bawling. And the doctor was like, oh, this is great. I said, no, this is not great. This is not great. I'm
Mm,
3 centimeters. I stayed 3 centimeters for hours. Then they were like, yeah, so we're gonna have to give you Pitocin. I was like, bring on the epidural.
Yep.
Where are they?
Yep.
Bring them. Have them come, okay? Because ain't nobody sitting through Pitocin contractions.
Nope. Nope. Nope.
So
Nope.
yeah, it was a journey. I pushed her out. I didn't have a ring of fire, but that's because I had 3 rounds of extra medicine in the epidural because the first one wasn't strong enough. I was still feeling
Oh,
all
I
the
remember
pain.
you telling me that. Yep.
Oh yeah. So they gave me 3 extra doses of whatever it was. And I think all of the extra doses of the epidural, the IV fluids, the Pitocin, the cervical ripening attributed to getting preeclampsia after. Because my body was just full of stuff, fluid and
that it's not used
medicine.
to.
Exactly. So it just overloaded. And I'm pushing her out and the girl don't want to come out at all. She's not even sliding down.
She's like, I told y'all I wasn't ready. Like,
was she not? Doctor told me on the last push, if you don't push her out, I'm either gonna have to cut you so we can get her out. Because they told me earlier in the week she was gonna be 9 pounds and 4 ounces, something like crazy like that. And she was like, if you don't push her out, I'm gonna have to cut you or we're gonna have to go do a C-section. I was like, oh no, I didn't buy anything for a C-section. I'm telling them in the hospital, legs spread. Corey's like, you got this. And I'm like, stop telling me I got this. My mother's like, you're doing great. Stop telling me. I was so mad. I was so mad. So I pushed and pushed and pushed. And finally she came out and I was just like, thank God, because oh my God, no.
Yeah. And that's not even like going home. So with you bringing that up, and I mean, technically I know I wanted to focus on post baby, but how, in your eyes, in your reflection, your healthcare team, the diversity on your team, how would you rate that? Like, did you see any doctors of color, nurses, pre-care, during care, and post-care?
Let's see. Post-care, I had 2, 3 nurses of color.
Okay.
Pre-care, not a single one.
Yeah.
And that, I'm not sure if that's because of the place that I chose or if it's because the place that I chose didn't hire more diversity. And I feel like I saw diversity with the medical assistants in the office.
Yep.
And the secretaries, but not the doctors.
Yeah.
And what I will say is, don't be afraid to fire a doctor.
Yeah.
I went to a place where they have this, they want you to have this experience of seeing all of the doctors in the hospital.
Yeah.
So that whoever's on call that weekend that you do decide to give birth, you would have met this doctor.
You decide to give birth.
Right.
Your baby
you
would
come. Have met one of the doctors during a visit, right? So okay, I tried their little theory. Second doctor I met, I didn't like her at all. She brushed me off, told me that ultrasounds didn't really tell you anything about your baby. I wasn't going to need another one. This is like 12 weeks in.
Yeah.
So I got rid of her quick, fast, and in a hurry. Don't be afraid to use the word lawyer.
Yep.
Because that's what they listen to, right?
Yep.
Because we are women of color and they think we don't know what we're talking about and they think that we're not in tune with ourselves and our body and we don't know our rights.
Right.
I know them. And if I don't want someone in the room, I don't want you in the room. And if you don't like it, we can speak to lawyers. Even if you don't have one, say you got one.
They don't know that. They don't know that.
Please.
And technically, I think they have someone that every hospital, I think by law, has a lawyer there to protect the patient. So technically you have one when you don't think you have one.
But I used it and I got rid of her quick fast because I just didn't feel like she had my best interests at heart. I felt like a number. Get in, get out. Okay, good to see you. Yep, you're fine. Boop, boop. No.
I had the same. Well, I didn't fire any nurses, but anybody on the team, but I did not see not one person of color pre, during, or post.
That's crazy.
All of it, and I mean they were nice. No disrespect to them, but they were all nice. But with us having the knowledge that the death rate of the mortality rate of Black women during pregnancy, after pregnancy, not having someone that looks like you, kind of just looks like you, makes you kind of just resistant to accepting the help, because your first thought is, y'all don't really know me. You don't know anything about me. You don't know anything about my culture. You don't know how to help me. you're hesitant to voice if you're in pain. You're hesitant to even
Yep.
like really open up because you're like, are you gonna judge me? Can you help me?
Yep.
Um, so I do know that because clearly, as much as of a craziness that this was, I do want to do this again, maybe 3 more times because I want 4
Girl,
kids.
you good. I can't even think of doing it again yet.
Good. But I no disrespect to where I gave birth, but I want to go somewhere where I will have someone on my healthy. Like it shocked me that even the aftercare didn't have anybody of color. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I think it was when we were leaving the hospital that I finally saw one nurse, and she was sitting at the desk. So I don't even know if she was an actual nurse or maybe
Got you.
administrative.
Yeah.
But no one that came in, no one. I mean, there was maybe one Indian doctor, an Asian.
That's
But
wild.
even that, to me, I wanted to see a sister. Like I wanted to see a black woman that even if she was just a nurse or a nurse's aide,
Mm-hmm.
or even the people that just come in and take your vitals. Nobody.
That's wild.
So I definitely am in the and I'm sorry, no disrespect, but I don't feel like I should be paying for parking every time I go to a doctor's appointment. Like that irks my soul. Like I literally said
You're
that to my
right.
doctor. Like
Yeah.
I was like, she moved to a different place, and I was like, what y'all looking like for the labor and delivery? And she's like, well, I just got here. I got to look into it. Like, okay, well, let me know because I don't want to pay for parking, and I want to see people that look like me.
Yep.
And she's actually at a hospital in Cambridge, and she was like, well, if you're looking for people to look like you're not gonna get that here. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay. She honestly said Boston Medical and Mass General will be the 2 hospitals that I have a chance of finding people of color on the labor and delivery team. And I was like, "Mm,
Yeah, this is true. But I'm not going to Boston Medical.
well, that I'm not going there for the parking. I'm not going there for where it is." And then it triggers me with my mom, but that's a different topic for another day.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Mass General, just I feel like their
The
parking is
reviews were
really,
so bad. I reviewed labor and delivery, OBGYN, all that up and down till I was blue in the face. And I picked the lesser of all the evils,
yeah,
basically, because
yeah,
I mean, let's be real, there's going to be negative reviews everywhere you
yeah,
go.
yeah,
So you do have to pick the lesser of the evils. But I had to go with Brigham and Women's because
yeah,
the reviews were horrifying everywhere else and it just scared me. So, but even then, I only saw, like I said, post care at Brigham and Women's Hospital, and that's 3 of my nurses, and then one of the attendees that came in to do blood pressure and all that.
yep, yep.
Otherwise, none of the doctors
No,
were anybody that looked like me. It's like if we don't, you have to go down south to find someone that looks like you,
yes.
honestly.
Listen,
And
if
that's
I can
sad.
hire Dr. Jackie from Married to Medicine,
Me
can
too.
we hit the
Wait,
lottery at Dr.
listen,
Simone?
listen. I play the lottery every day so that I can move myself somewhere where I can get the right care. I'm with you. Dr.
Yes,
Jackie is my person, okay?
yes. Like I just
Like I
want to
know
email
her and
her.
she doesn't know me. That's how I feel. That's how I feel.
If we got to figure out a way, see if we can get her up here. She's probably way out of my tax bracket for
Yeah,
affording. But
probably.
I mean, if she take Blue Cross Blue Shield, we might
Yeah.
be onto something. Like we might be able to work something out.
I don't
Um,
know, girl. If you get her, let me know. I will
I
get
listen.
pregnant for that.
I
I will have another baby if she's gonna
if Jackie,
be
if
our doctor.
Dr. Jackie, listen, I don't think you can. You might. I mean, you might come across this episode. I'm gonna go ahead and tag you. But if you just so happen do pro bono work,
Listen, I
holla
sign
at.
me up where I'll give all my information now.
I'll travel to
Two under
Atlanta.
two, that's what they say, right? Let me
Yep.
know. That's me.
Please and thank you. Something else that, of course, floats around when you're pregnant is how silent husbands are or partners
Yeah.
are during delivery. I know, Renard not silent any day of his life at all. Um, but I do appreciate how that man, every time a doctor came in, if there was a word spoken that he's never heard before, he would tell them, hold on, pull out his phone and Google.
Yeah.
And it was to the point that one of the nurses commended him on that. And they were like, dads usually are just sitting on that couch, quiet, watching TV. The nurses don't even notice that they're there.
Mm-hmm.
And she was just like, you talk. And I was like, he talks more. He talked because he know I won't talk. Like the day we went, because we went to the hospital twice. First day was when I thought I was in labor and I wasn't. It was just cramps.
Mm-hmm.
Second time, it was actual labor, and it was my best friend who was just like, "Girl, you in labor? Everything you're explaining to me is labor." And we went back, and when we got into the room, the doctors come in and like, "How you feeling?" I'm like, I'm okay. Yeah. I mean, it just really hurts. And remember when you told me if I feel it in my butt, which is weird because when she goes, it's gonna sound weird, but if you feel when you feel it in your butt, that's when you should call us. So I was like,
Yeah.
remember when you said I feel it in my butt and I feel it, and then Renard goes, so I'm gonna ask what she doesn't want to ask because she's afraid of what your answer is. What's gonna make you send us home?
Exactly.
And then they looked at me and I was like, yep. They're like, well, if she because when we went the first morning, I was only 2 centimeters dilated,
Mm,
and I was just like, whatever. And when I called and told them that I was feeling the pain that they told me to look out for, I was like, look, I was there this morning and y'all sent me home. If you're
yeah.
gonna, if I was like, if there's even the slightest chance that you're gonna send me back home,
I ain't
I'm
coming
not
in.
coming in.
I feel you.
I'm not coming in. So they're like, we'll check you to see if you're dilated. If you haven't, dilated since this morning, we're gonna send you home. But thank God I was 4 at that point. So they were like, congratulations, you're 4 centimeters. I was like, bitch, I don't care about 4 centimeters. Like, get this human out of me. Like, and then they
Yep.
kept at one point they were like, is anybody harming you at home? Yes, the human inside of me is harming me. This is he is kicking me. That's who's harming me. But at that point they're like, get comfortable. And I'm just like, how?
Exactly.
How do you want me to get comfortable? But let's fast forward to where you are now. How are you doing now with little lady?
I think that I've found a pretty decent routine.
Mm,
She recently started sleeping through the night. I want to say like 2 weeks ago, which is
okay.
pretty cool.
Yep.
However, not cool enough for me because exclusive pumper over here
Yep.
still gotta wake up.
Yep.
So I'm waking up and I'm watching him sleep in his
Yep.
deep, glorious sleep.
And fighting the
And
urge to put the pillow over his head.
oh,
I know. Been
yeah,
there. Been
because it's
there.
just like you still get all of your 6 to 8 hours, and I'm still pumping every 4. So
Mhm.
not fun, but otherwise, I've been trying to look at the positive side of things
Yeah.
so that I'm not falling into a sadness, you
Yep.
know?
Yep.
And I think it's easier because I'm watching her grow every day. And every day I feel like she does something new. And it's just like, oh my God, I created this little person with God's
Oh
help,
yeah.
and I
Yep.
pushed this little person out, and
Yeah.
now she's a real person. She's a human. She's doing things, you know?
Yep. Yep.
It's like she's eating more, she's trying to stand up. She's been holding her head up for God
Tell
knows
her
how
to slow
long.
down. Why is she trying to stand up already?
Listen, she hates to sit on your lap. She
Yeah.
wants to be standing. And if she's not standing, she likes to lay down and look. I bought those high contrast books.
Yep.
They are heaven sent. She
Yeah.
loves them. So
Yeah.
she'll just lay there and make her noises at the books. And I mean, listen, it
Listen,
gives
do
me a
you?
little bit of break. Exactly. So
Mhm.
it is definitely a learning curve. The thing I miss the most probably is just being able to get up and go.
Yeah.
Can't do that anymore.
Nope. You
I
gotta give yourself like
literally,
an extra hour.
oh my goodness, hour and a half. Like she doesn't like when she's put in the stroller
Yep.
or the car seat and it stops moving.
Yep.
So if we're in the car and the car, we come to a red light or we're in traffic, she's crying. And
Yep.
it's like, can you please stop crying? It's please stop crying. I know
Yep.
you're fine, but it gives me anxiety. So
Yes.
I have to plan where I'm going, how long it's going to take me to get there,
Yep.
quickest route, don't go during traffic time so that I can get there without her being upset because I'm driving by myself. I don't have him anymore, you know. Corey
Yeah.
went back to work. So I really had to figure out a routine that worked for her and I.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to rely too much on my mom, although my mom is great, but
Yeah. You
I needed to
don't.
figure it out. I
And
really needed to figure it out.
and I think that's something that a lot of people, which I will forever never understand, when people take offense to you wanting to figure it out on your own.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
they get really mad. Like, well, I told you I'd help you. And I'm like, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
However,
exactly.
this is my first time, and people act like they've never been first moms. Like, you've been there, you know that, you know how I
Listen,
feel right now. I wanna figure it out. I wanna, not necessarily to say the word fail, but I wanna fall and pick myself up and figure it
yes.
out without saying, "This person had to help me," because 'cause you're not always gonna be here.
Yep.
Like, same thing with riding in the car. Ramses would, like, he the boy was just greedy. Like, he wasn't even on a schedule. He just ate. So I had to master driving with one hand. Granted, we all would do it. But
Mm-hmm.
when you have a baby, you're like, two hands, 10 and 2, drive the speed limit.
Yeah,
Now,
no.
now I go back to driving regular. And then the other hand is holding a bottle in his mouth while I'm driving. By
Yep.
3 months, Renard taught the boy to hold his own bottle. So I didn't have that problem. But it's scary, but it almost becomes like a fun scary because you're like, "Oh, I'm about to attack this. Alright, cool. You gotta hype yourself up. You like, I got
Exactly.
this. I got this. I might F
Yeah.
up, but I got this. I got this."
Yep.
And it doesn't stop.
Yeah.
Just so
And
you
you're figuring out new ways to do it or to do it better. I
Yeah.
feel like you're one of the only people that understands the whole I would like to try it myself because everybody else I talk to, it's like, oh, well, don't you have help? Do you have support at home? Isn't your mom, isn't your dad, isn't, and it's like, yeah, I do. I have support, but I want to figure it out. I want her to know mommy's got this, or mommy can do it, or mommy did it, you know? And it gives me a sense of relief for myself to
Yep.
know that, oh, shoot, I did that on my own,
I did
you
it by
know?
myself, or I made my own path. Everybody else was telling me to do
Yeah.
this way. I did it that way, and
Yeah,
it
and a lot of people
still
don't get
works.
that. Yeah.
Nope. Nope.
Yeah. I know in the hospital they had said like, "Oh, her stomach is but so big and don't feed them over this and that." Yeah, that went out the window. We got home and Corey was like, "She's hungry, let's feed her."
Yep.
So I completely understand. I've had to stop on the highway
Yep.
to feed her
Yep.
because she can't hold her bottle yet,
Oh,
but if
they will
she's crying,
terrorize you. They are little terrorists when
what?
they're hungry.
Listen, yeah. So yeah, feed on demand whenever she wants
Everything
because
on demand.
yeah,
Everything on
you're
demand.
right.
Everything.
You are right.
No, honestly, and it's a continuous learning curve.
It really is.
And what sucks is when you are a creature of habit because there are no habits here. This
Yeah,
boy just turned 1 and I'm still constantly changing things with him. Like favorite foods.
I
Don't even
believe
get you
it.
like honestly, that's the only advice I give to any don't get used to nothing. Don't get My coworker is pregnant and she's like, "Oh, I just can't wait to get into a routine." I was like, "Don't."
Yeah,
I said,
there's
"There
no
is no
such
routine."
thing.
She's like, "Don't say that." Girl, whoever told you that you're gonna find a routine, they lying to you. Fire
Yeah,
them as a friend. There's no routine. There
yeah,
maybe when they become kindergartners, maybe then you can get a routine. But between 1 and 3, ain't no routine.
yeah.
Ain't
No,
no
this is
routine.
true. It's a routine for the day or maybe for the first 2 days and then it changes
Yeah.
because they don't wake up at the same time every day. She
Nope.
doesn't, you know? So, I mean, and this girl, Lord bless her heart, she wasn't really pooping.
Yeah.
So
I remember
that
you telling me
we
that.
had to
Yep.
figure that out.
Yep.
And we had to start sending her to a chiropractor and that helped with her getting her on a routine, if you want to call it. So it's
Oh.
like, yeah, I didn't know about chiropractic services for kids
Yeah.
before I was pregnant.
Yeah.
I believe in it wholeheartedly. It works. It's a
You gonna need to
thing.
send me their info.
Oh, yes, it is a thing. Corey
And
didn't
swim.
know.
Swim
And
helps too.
swim. Yes, I'm going to get on top of that. The next thing we're trying to do is get her ears pierced. So please pray for me
I will. Make
because I
sure they
know
put
she's
2
not
people at the same time. Just like when
okay.
they do their shots. Just
You
that
right.
way it's one pain in and out. She'll scream, then she fine.
That's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna have a
Yeah.
bottle ready. I know that that's the only thing that will soothe her.
Yeah. 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 Well, all right, boo. Well, I appreciate. I don't even know how long we've been talking. It's I think we hit the 45-minute. I don't know, but we've been talking. I will have you again because I'm pretty sure this conversation is going to spark other conversations, and I do want to eventually have like a roundtable with moms who have
Let me
teenagers, mom who
know.
have 20-year-olds, and we're like, all right, cool. So we just came into this group.
Mm-hmm.
What did you do? How did you function? How did you get all that done? But
Let me know because
uh,
I am a bonus mom. So
yeah,
I've got granddaughter. I have a granddaughter
yes,
and a grandson. So I have the whole
Oh, see, we didn't even
spectrum.
get to touch on all of that.
Listen,
And
the whole spectrum.
and
So
you thought
let
you would have
me
been
know.
ready and good to go
Oh
because
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Completely different ball game.
listen,
Okay.
it's different when it comes out of you.
It is.
It's a whole different
And
world.
it gives a new meaning to I brought you into this world and I'll take you
Girl,
out. I told my
child,
mom about that. She was like, "Oh, so you understand now." I
yeah,
said, "Yes.
yeah.
You have a entirely different appreciation for your parents
Yes,
after
you
you
do.
have a child.
Yes, you do.
Entirely different,
Yes,
a
you
whole
do.
newfound respect."
Yes, you
So
do.
yeah, mm-mm.
I'm telling you, every day my cousin's telling me you need to go look up to the sky and tell your mother I'm sorry. Because
Yes.
I'd be looking at Ramsey like, did you just? Oh, I'm gonna fight this kid. And she goes, no, no,
Mm.
go apologize to your mom because I'm pretty sure she used to do that to you. And you,
Oh yes. Oh yes.
yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Well, all right, y'all. I gotta let my boo go because I hear little mama in the background. She
She
gave you
is.
time. She gave
She
you time,
did.
so I
I tried.
appreciate that.
I pumped. I spoke, and now it's
And
time to
now
go
she's
back
like,
to
"Nah,
her.
mommy, it's my time." Well, if
Yeah.
you guys have comments, questions, suggestions, or even just want to bring up this conversation again, we are going to come back because let me tell you something. Motherhood is ever evolving conversation. So
Oh
we will
yes.
be back, and I want to thank you for chatting with me. I
Thank you
told
for
you
having
it's like
me.
girls talk. You don't
I
prepare for it.
love it.
I only had one thing written down: expectation versus reality. That's it. That's the only thing I had written down. I don't plan out these conversations. I just let them
No, I
flow.
love it. It was an outlet. I'm looking forward to it.
And we need more of them. This might have to
Yeah.
be like a monthly conversation. What happened this month? All right,
Yeah.
boom. Well, thank you, y'all. Thank y'all for listening, and I will see y'all in the next one.
Thank you.
All right, now
Bye.
I got to figure out how to end it.